welcome to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I'm joined today by Erik Anderson, Chief Credit Officer at Northland Capital. Thanks for joining me, Erik.
It's good to be here, Jesse. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on the program. We'll have to see, I think I had Willis on here a couple of years ago. So we'll just have to make sure that you have more views than him, just so we can brag a little bit.
Yeah, I think he did it from his condo on Fort Myers Beach. So my view is not quite the same physically, but we're probably pretty aligned as well, but we'll see. Lots to live up to there.
What was the high today in St. Paul?
I think we had north of 37.
Actually,
yeah, it was, after so many days in a row below zero, it's always nice to have the first couple here in February that get into the 30s. It feels like you're in a tropical climate and you can actually make it through the winter again. So it's a reminder of all of it. But
until the next Arctic blast comes in charge here.
Until the next one comes. And then you got to remind yourself it's still winter. Yeah.
I don't know, man. You see this view? I don't know.
I believe it. Yeah. My dad's, late 70s, and he was up in, I'm from Grand Marais, which is just 40 miles south of the Canadian border on the shore of North Shore Lake Superior. And, he was there for 47 years, and he never wanted to be anyplace else in the winter. He loves the cold, loves the dark, and loves everything about it. So I've tried to take a page from his book and embrace it more.
We'll leave it at that. I won't send you photos. I won't tell you what we're doing later. It's fine. It's also one of those things that when it's 120, you can sit there and be like, yeah, and what are you doing now, bud? What are you doing? What's going on?
There is that.
Awesome. For Erik, those people who haven't had a chance to meet you, do you mind just kind of introducing yourself and your career?
Yeah. So I've been at Northland Capital for about 18 years now. I started here in April of 2008. I guess that's the math. But I graduated from the University of Minnesota Duluth with a degree in actuarial science and statistics. And the original plan for me was to go into the actuarial profession, but as it turns out, you have to take tests. And as it turns out, secondly, that I wasn't very good at taking that test. So, the first one, I kind of messed around and just kind of, I'd say, didn't put my best effort forward with it. Just wanted to sit for it to get a feel for it. Second time, I did put in, 300 plus hours studying for it. And I think I came to the realization that I probably should have gone to class more during the undergrad. And maybe this wasn't going to be for me. And as it turns out, I ended up actually Googling what I could do with a stats degree, and to be involved in finance, and credit analyst came up. And so I ended up getting hired at a community bank, which was about an hour away. I was living in St. Cloud at the time. Followed the fiance, now I guess wife, and still married to this day, to St. Cloud, because she had an internship here. And at the community bank, I saw my first commercial deal, and I just fell in love. I just loved everything about lending, about the deals themselves. And so I did that for 2.5 years, and I was commuting to the West Metro, and I wanted to we wanted to start a family, and it just wasn't tenable for what we wanted. And so I got a call one day from the current chief credit officer at Northland. And they were looking for a credit analyst. And I had some experience in the leasing world at the community bank I was at. I think we'd done a little bit of business with KLC, in like 05. I think that was the time frame. And that was my only real experience with it. And so I interviewed with Northland, and I wasn't certain because I didn't know what kind of deal flow you would see. I wasn't, familiar with equipment finance, just the leasing world where you source deals. It was kind of I'm gonna say more of the types of deals you would see weren't the best of credits that I ever had experience with. And so I just said, well, maybe I'll just go the commercial lending route, be a community banker, because I really enjoyed that piece, the relationship banking. So I ended up calling Northland, and I passed the chief credit. And then 35 minutes later, she called back and said that Willis made me call you back. And I think that was I took it as a sign that maybe this is actually, I need to consider this further. And so I came up for another interview, and it was just, I think that week we decided after, discussion with Amanda, my wife, that, if we get offered, I think this is probably going to be the spot to be. And I came for another interview, and, I got to sit down with, certainly with Beth McLean, Jerry Baker, and, Willis Kleinjohn and Gabe Jarnett. And, Willis, it was someplace different overall. And I think it was hearing the story about how they started the company, just the types of people they were. And when I say types, it was, I really saw myself a lot in Willis. There was the culture itself was very work hard, play hard culture. And it was one that they gave the autonomy to its employees, and they let you be who you are. And, one of the big things I wanted to, as part of, whatever organization I joined next, was going to be, I wanted to go back to school and get my MBA, because I'd never taken a business class. I'd never taken a finance class. And I wanted that background and actually the knowledge behind it, because there's one thing that, numbers are numbers, the math is math, but like conceptually to understand just how business works. Dad was a teacher, football coach, AD, mom was a librarian. I didn't have a ton of background or business background to fall back on growing up. So, and as it turns out, like the story that Beth told was like when she got to Northland, she wanted the same thing, and she actually brought it to Willis and said, "This is what I want to do." And he goes, "Make it happen." So that's where our tuition reimbursement was born, was out of Beth actually just wanting to further her career. I think it was like 03 or prior to when she was here. And I mean, it speaks to the culture in Northland. It speaks to Willis himself, and that hasn't changed. Over time, getting here, it's been so fun to be a part of an organization that, number one, has the balance and allows for you to just be yourself. And that's my favorite part of the culture. If I could describe our culture, it's that. You're not judged about, how you're treated, but you're also embraced to bring the different characteristics that you bring. Like there's no groupthink. It's not to say it's always easy, right? Because it never is. But it certainly makes it a lot more fun when it's you can speak freely at all times. And at the end of the day, it's also embrace your ideas to really see it grow. So 18 years later, I've been able to progress. I've seen us grow from, I think that year I came in 08, obviously it was a tough time for financials, to say the least.
I would say.
But to see us go from, I think we were funding probably 55 million at the time to do now, since COVID, we're at north of 450. It's just been a real great place for, number one, my family, my career, and number two, just to be a part of it, and the people here to be on a regular basis to go out and compete with people next to you that are in lockstep with just, like I say, the culture itself, but also just going to work every day and lockstep of where we're going. So it's been good. So
Oh, perfect. So actuarial studies, huh? Yeah, one of my fraternity brothers did that, and then
right
he was
on.
talking about all the tests that he had to take, and I'm like, wait, what? It was like five different tests, and each one of them
Yeah.
got progressively harder over time, and I'm like, hmm, I graduated already. Why do I want to take tests? Like,
I was validated years later. Joe Andrews with Great America
yeah,
Financial Services. Yeah. So I've gotten to Joe or know Joe a little bit over the past several years because his daughters have played volleyball at the College of St. Benedict. So my wife is an assistant volleyball coach there and heads up
okay.
rec sports. And I didn't know Joe prior to his daughters playing, but uh, it's been fun to get to know him. But he has his one son, Blaze, went the actual route. And he was telling me, like, yeah, if you just kind of passed the test, kind of did it and figured it out. And I go, that's why I'm in, EF.
That's
And
why I'm in finance.
yeah, clearly there's a different level there. Clearly.
Hey, when I originally went to West Virginia, I was going for forensics because they had that program
Done.
on site. And then I went to orientation, and after one crazy night there, I went and met with the guidance counselor, and they were like, "Here's your course load," and it was like three advanced maths and three advanced science, and I'm like, "What else you got that's competitive? Like, there's no way I'm
Yeah.
gonna survive here if I have to take. I enjoy math. Like,
Yeah.
keep it over there, man. That's what calculators are for. Give me a break, right? Like, no, no. So,
Oh,
so
for
good
sure.
on you there. And then, so you went from credit analyst, and then were you straight from credit analyst to the chief credit officer? Or did you have any other roles at Northland?
Yeah, I progressed. The progression's hard. Like we're a pretty flat organization, so a lot of things that you get into small companies, you have to just kind of find your way. And Northland was super supportive of that. Uh, so prior to the analyst role or post, I guess we call it, we came out of the recession, and one of the big things that we really put an emphasis on was, uh, we don't have unlimited capital, so we needed to find a way to find or leverage better cost of funds, to find some bigger deals, to decide to go further up the credit spectrum instead of trying to figure out how to do the tougher credits. And one of the ways that we were able to utilize that was through syndications. So, and we'd sold paper for a long time. It's just part of what Northland always did. This wasn't any different. But what we did do was, rather than selling pools and just that balance sheet management and capital and managing managing the balance sheet, we decided to make the effort to make it a part of our underwriting process at origination, where we created a point person, which ended up being me, to handle our syndication efforts. So prior to that, we had put it on our sales reps to, if they really wanted a deal done, they could find another source and have or leverage their own networks as part of us bringing it in house to kind of that point. We really just made that effort to say, all right, how do we make it a better tool where I can work in tandem with the sales reps, have someone that understands the credit box of whoever we're going to be selling the deal to, and really make a go of it. So Willis and Jerry and Northland had a long history with Wells Fargo. Jim Heron was the name of the individual that they went way back prior to, I think he was at CIT in the late 90s and selling for a long time. And one of the biggest things that ever happened for us was Wells came on board in 2014 and allowed us to syndicate paper to them, allowed us to service, which was at the time it was very rare, if anything. And that was a big deal for us on the commercial side. For our agriculture business, we've had a long-standing relationship with Farm Credit Leasing and all their leadership there, and they never left our side. but it was, for us to be a little bit more diversified, we needed a commercial source that we could, leverage a little better cost of funds to get some bigger deals done, but also just do more deals for our vendors. And, we parlayed that in 14 to, I think that first year, our goal was we tried to get to 5 million in syndication volume. And so we did that. Fortunately, I might have had to sell out of our portfolio, but regardless, we made it.
Hey.
I think we peaked here, 2 years ago. I think we sold, I think it was 265 million. So,
Oh, wow. Okay.
we really grew that portion of the business, and it really helped us grow as an organization. It allowed us to tap into, again, for capacity on the capital side, allowed us to put more on balance sheet ourselves. And it's been fun to see that grow. So my role at the time, I think it was like, credit syndications manager. And I had that for up until the time, I think it was maybe 2022, 2023, 21. I forget the year, but where I got the CEO or CEO title. So, yeah, so that's it's talk about the progression in companies and just how they evolve over time. That's been just a really awesome thing to be a part of, certainly for Northland. So,
no, that's fantastic. And then if you're in that role from a capital markets activity perspective, all those people that you get to meet with and everything else, and honestly, like salespeople don't need to figure that part out either. Or it's just like it's a little cleaner, I'm sure, especially on the credit side.
Yeah, the best thing that ever happened, I think, for my career was actually probably an individual. It was Chuck Sell. So Chuck came from TCF. He came to Northland.
What a last name, by the way. Just
right.
And right.
Weirdly, he was in sales. So
that's fantastic. I was hoping the camera would go in at that point.
No, so weirdly, he was in credit. Yeah, no. So, I mean, Chuck came to Northland, and it was a time in my career where he was, I think, just a saving grace for me, but also just was a huge mentor. And along the lines of that capital markets piece, I still remember, and I always say this: the first time I ever went to the ELF funding conference, I had no idea at first. I'd never been to anything like that, and I was up in my hotel room, and I think we were at I think it was the Fairmont at the time, and got there, flew into Chicago, and just kind of wondering how this was going to go. And I got a call from Chuck. It was about 3:00 on, I think it was Tuesday afternoon, after they used to have the round table, and he goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "Well, I'm just kind of sitting here. I was going to look at some deals and just kind of hang out." He's like, "Come down to the lobby." So, I go down to the lobby, and I always call it he proceeded to basically just Jerry Maguire. I don't know if you've ever seen the scene or seen Jerry Maguire, but there's a scene where he's at the Super Bowl and he takes Cuba Gooding Jr. down press row, and he just introduces him to everybody. He just runs the gamut. And I always say that's, Chuck Sell, like Jerry Maguire, he basically opened up his entire network. And it was just, it was one of the most awesome moments of my career. And I'll forever remember it. I'll never forget it. And all of my network that I have today is 100% just a function of that and what Chuck was willing to do and offer as mentorship and trade. So I will never forget that, nor will I'll try to, emulate and do the same things as, we have younger and younger employees that I can do for them too. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have a great organization. I know we kind of talked about Northland a little bit, but want to go a little bit deeper. So you guys are in St. Cloud. Any other offices? Do you have people throughout the country as well?
Yeah, we have our main office is St. Cloud, but we do have remote employees. People that commute in. We're a hybrid organization, but we've got, I think, a business development in Indiana. We've got account manager in Iowa. Our president, Brian Eschman, commutes in from Colorado. We've got a credit analyst now in Detroit suburbs. and on top of that, we've got at this stage, Northland, South office, which is the Florida location where we've got a couple of our senior execs. They'll talk about that
Hey,
cold winter. Yeah.
yeah.
And
Hey,
now I think we just opened up.
I don't blame him. I don't
Yeah, I
blame
mean
him.
a Northland West Coast now. I think we've got one there now too.
Oh,
So
where?
our I think the CFO is in undisclosed location in California. How about that? So
Hmm. All right, we'll have to look him up.
yes, right.
Good for him. Good for him.
So yeah, I mean we're just kind of distributed throughout the U.S., but main location is St. Cloud. Um, we've got about 70 employees at Northland, which is you talk about that growth that I spoke on earlier about funding. It's fun to see just the company from, I think when I got hired, it was like 28 or something like that, and now to be at 70. Um, it's our company picnics and our events that we go through. It's incredibly, I would say, rewarding. I can only imagine how Willis feels about it because I know it's a big deal for him. Certainly. Um, but to
One of the
see
reasons
more,
one of the reasons him and the crew started the organization, right?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they could do it a little bit differently, and you know, it's been like, I mean, you look at so Willis offers scholarships for uh, employee kids that are graduating seniors, and it's a really awesome thing that he does, and it's crazy now that I've got a junior now, and going back to she was born in '09, and to see all these same kids that um,
When did she turn 17?
April 3rd.
Jeremy just turned 17 2 weeks ago, and it
Right
makes me
on.
feel really, really old. So
Yeah,
I was like, I'm a 17-year-old.
yeah, for sure. And I think the age part is it's the cool,
Yeah.
but it's more like it's a timeline of history, right? And I was tell our most senior people, like, we're all in different perspectives at the same time. Like, that's the challenge of we are in business 30 years this year. I mean, 30 years as an organization is incredible. And especially for, we all understand that, how hard it is to actually, number one, start a company, number two, to sustain a company, to make it past, year one where a company is incredible. So
Mm-hmm.
longevity in our business for 30 years is,
I was
it's
gonna say,
pretty awesome.
how many people do you have at the organization who've been there for 30 years? I mean,
Uh, I think three, three in
okay.
particular, maybe four if you include Barb
Yeah.
Holthouse, who's our controller. So, but certainly, between Willis, Jerry, and Gabe, it's 30 this year. So,
That's crazy. And I know the 10-year of the organization, obviously, you guys have brought several people on since you joined, but the 10
yeah,
year is up there. I mean, I've known Northland since probably I got in the industry in 2005.
yeah.
And, similar people, like you don't see a lot of turnover. That's for
No,
sure.
our turnover rates are extremely low. Um, and especially with our senior people in these positions, we don't see a lot of it. And I think it speaks to culture. I think it speaks to certainly leadership of just embracing, again, to find the right people. And yeah, it's a rare thing that
Yeah.
that we see.
And who picks out the outfits and themes for your kickoff meetings? Like
So
I wish I had like some of these pictures that I could just, you know what? When I edit this, I might see if I can dig some up because there's some entertaining things where
oh,
it's
for
like, what could
sure.
I get Willis to dress up as this year? Or Jerry, what could I get him to dress up as?
Yeah, it's that was one of the big things. I think my first week, just to tell a story, it was 2008. It was, I think, April. Yeah, I think my anniversary is like April 18th. Is that weekend. The theme that year. So every year Northland picks out a theme, and this is the the main drivers of this are it's going to be Willis and Gabe, and then Sadie is our marketing coordinator who's been a part of it from day one as well. So it is their thing. Like they
embrace it. That's for sure.
It's embraced. And so my first week, the theme was, I think it was like a record or rock band theme. And when you get there, they would take a picture and then they would put your face on a record, and then you'd have like a rock and outfit, like was it transpose or what's put you on some other like face or rock star, and then put you on the wall. And it was the craziest thing. And then they'd start music on. So every morning, every week, we have a part of our culture is we call it our 8:07. So we start the meeting at 8:07 because nobody gets there on time for an 8 o'clock. So that's how the 8:07 was born. But it's
East Coast. East Coast, that's 7:50 if it starts today.
So it's a weekly meeting. We give an update on the company. It's incredibly transparent. That's the other piece about Northland. We're just incredibly transparent. But back when we first started, Willis ran the meeting every week, and we go over where our salespeople were, to where's our funding at, who are we doing business with, who are we trying to get into with vendors, how's the portfolio performing, et cetera, et cetera. And so at the end of the meeting, Willis stands up and it's like, "Oh, we've got another new employee this week." And they come out, it's like, "Oh, great. I didn't realize there was going to be an initiation here." So I'm assuming they have to sing a school song or something like that, stand up. But so Willis pulls out a couple of 20s and say, "Well, since you're the new guy, you're buying beer today." And so casual. And little did I know that was part of Northland. I that wasn't even part of the prereqs. It just kind of fit me. So yeah, it's the beer fridge in the organization. It's a part of the culture that work hard, play hard, and enjoy each other and as a team. So yeah, the themes themselves different every year, and we have our kickoff every September. Our fiscal year end is August 31st. So part of our ownership structure, we're 50% owned by an egg cooperative in Southwest Minnesota. And that's where the fiscal year end came from. So you'll see us in the monitor with that 831 number. That's why. But so early September, we have the kickoff, and it's always fun because you walk in and it's going to be a brand new theme for where we're going that year. And I like to give Gabe a bunch of crap because the themes have never been really my thing so much as like I'm here to let's go, like right? So
I get it.
But there's that part of it that's unique to Northland that makes us go. That's part of the intangible in the culture, right? So so every year it's the theme in full.
What's this year's theme?
So this year is Northlandia. So the theme is Northland as an amusement park, and with different phases of the company over 30 years. So similar to any other theme park you've ever been to, there's areas like Harry Potter World, for example. Like we have the area that covers, I think it's like something falls or rapids, that covers the recession time frame. Times of transformation that Northland had. Every company goes through, again, fits and starts, as you try to reinvent and you try to innovate, you plateau and then you grow, grow. How do you keep on the cycle and not go down the cycle, so to speak? And that's kind of a celebration of that and a reminder. And, as you grow to the size that we've grown to now, you constantly have to work on that culture, because it's a reminder that we have so many new people that, number one, they haven't heard the story. They haven't heard, how Northland was formed. The stories of Willis and Gabe over vodka cranberries, figuring out and dreaming of what kind of organization they would want to have. And that's important stuff. I mean, it's a part of, where you go to work every day. the belief in the organization itself and the direction. And you spend so much time, right, at companies that you want to go to places that, again, fit your values, you fit the mission, purpose. And that's, again, it speaks to the turnover too. Like that's where it's aligned. And I always call Gabe our chief culture officer, because that's where he's constantly, thinking about that. And, how are we going to, I mean, first thing out of his mouth all the time, leadership meetings, culture, right? And it plays for sure. And it's a credit to that mindset, that mentality, where that's how you stay in business for 30 years. So
100%. And then asset classes that you guys are in. I know you mentioned ag earlier. I mean, I know your asset classes, but what asset classes are you in?
Yeah. So we like to say it's food, fuel, waste, recycling, and infrastructure. And then we sprinkle transportation across all those segments. So food is, clearly agriculture. It's a big part of what we do. Waste and recycling speaks for itself. Fuel, we do a lot in the wholesale and transportation tank business. And then infrastructure, we do a lot of material processing. So, and ticket sizes, they range. On paper, our average ticket size is 130,000, but the segments of our business are always different. So we'll go a little smaller, small ticket in the transportation space, do a lot of trailers that way. But then you get into agriculture and into more of that infrastructure construction where, I think the 2 years ago, we're getting to, 2 million, 3 million plus on terms of transaction sizes, but equipment types, we try to stick to that, 300 to 1.2 million in those segments. So yeah, I mean, I think it came after a recession where we had to really identify where we wanted to be. And, agriculture, just by virtue of our ownership structure, it's always been, core to what we've done. I think when Northland first started up, that was the world that certainly Willis and Gabe came from as well, with a lot of short line ag business. And we're still doing that to this day. And, in 2010, 2011, I think we just had to refocus to say, this is where our core is. And if we're going to do business, after, figured out that we're still alive, number one, if we're going to do business, we've got to be in segments that are certainly more recession resistant, more of that, more necessity, a lot more B2B kind of situations. And
then with that tenure in ag, right? I mean, because we know ag is just can be very volatile, right? I'm not telling you something you don't live and breathe every day, but with those credits and everything, compared to, what happens when there's this storm, or what happens when it's this drought? And, you've been helping clients for several decades now, and I'm sure they appreciate that. And you guys have a lot of repeat business too.
Yeah. I mean, the agriculture sector, I didn't grow up in agriculture. I had never actually lent into agriculture entire life until I got to Northland. And, I like to say, like, it's, I've never been more impressed. It was my first week with any segment, just how innovative producers are, how many different ways they find just to generate revenue. They're incredibly resourceful, and they're tough. Like, bottom line, they're just tough and they're resilient. And
I mean, they've been through a lot. I mean, I'm sure you have multiple generational, different things. I mean, I grew up on 300 acres of farmland, so I understand kind of how that whole thing goes. But I guess a question I have on the ag market: are your, I guess, customers leaning more on technology to help them become more efficient? And what's that sell like, right?
Yeah, no, that's been a really fun part to be a part of. I mean, just it's a great time to be in equipment finance for one of those reasons. And one of the big, macro trends that that we've ridden over the past 15 years of my life here is labor issues, labor shortages, certainly in rural America. And it's been a thing. And when you've got labor shortages and on commodities, it leads to mechanization. And we have been a benefactor of it. It's been fun to get into, I would say, newer technology. And as it's kind of grown, whether in certainly precision planning, precision farming, where it's meters to precisely measuring fertilizer to even you get out west
They
or
take
autonomous
they
farming.
take the fun out of it, right? Or you're like, come on, what are we doing?
Well,
Over there, over there, over there.
yeah, I mean, it's been a blast. Like I think
Sure.
in a couple of weeks, we do business with some robotics in agriculture, and like, I mean, it's been fun to see us grow these relationships. Nothing's ever easy because it's a challenge, and agriculture itself is, as I said, it's tough because the margins aren't great. So,
I mean, anytime I'm driving in a car with my family, I see those center pivot irrigation
yeah,
systems, and I'm like, okay, chances are the person who's financing that is this here, and this is what they do. It's just kind of one of
yeah.
those things where you just, yeah,
Are your kids as bored with that as mine are? Like that's me driving
sort
down the
of.
road constantly. It's like, hey, see a hopper trailer? Yep, yeah, we finance that thing. Yep.
What's the VIN on that thing? Let me look. No,
There's a Timty. Yeah.
no. Unfortunately, my kids just think that all I do is travel the country and take people out to drink and golf and eat, which is not a bad part of my job, but
That's
that's what they think I do, which is I guess is sort of true.
well, that
It,
means they want to be like you someday, then, right? That's the
well, I hope they're a better version of me. We'll leave it at
I hear you, brother. I hear you. Yep. I got the same feeling about my own.
Erik, I ask everyone who comes on the program to give me a little fun fact about themselves. So, outside of Northland and work, what do you enjoy doing?
I really enjoy watching my kids. As sad as it, like just we're around sports a lot. We're in the gym a lot, and just with they're a coach's kid now, just like I was, and I really just enjoy the work that they put in and how much joy that brings to them. We that's a big deal for me. And then outside of that, I love this. I love talking to people. I love the things like the dinners, the all that. Like that's you find the joy in life about being together, right? It's a big deal. So hobby wise, you know, I need more, I think.
What are hobbies when you
Yeah.
have kids in
Yeah.
sports? Like, I can relate.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
So, I mean, it's fun though. I like the places I think my wife always reminds me like and there are some days, right? There are some days that it's not as fun, but she keeps telling me the days are long, but the years are short. So, like anything, it's enjoy the now with that, and because pretty soon they won't be there. But man, it's fun to see them grow through that and through the good times and the bad. And like we talk about this a lot lately because we getting the 16-year-old, my oldest, and just you get to that point where they're crossing more major life events, and like I don't miss them growing up. It might be, I mean, a little bit delusional of me, but I don't miss the times when they're all cute and young. Like what I love is them going through life events that are big. Josie getting her driver's license, that a big smile on her face. Like it's validating as a parent. It's probably selfish of me to actually think this, but it's validating to say that we got them through that life event. Now the next thing is college. Next thing is job. Next thing is going to be some tough times. Like it's to see them go through the hard times, to come out, be resilient, and then to find joy in those big momentous times to find independence. Like that's the stuff that gives me juice, man. Like it's
No, that's big, and especially when a guy comes to like take her out for a date. I mean, you're what, 6'4"? Like, I don't even know, you could be taller, but just to
now
have some
6'4". Yep.
fun, just to
Yep.
have some fun with that. Like, here's my gun
I told
collection,
my
even though I
daughter, like
don't need
I'm not
it.
a
Like,
hold a shotgun guy. I'm not,
ah.
anything like that. I told her I had one rule. All my kids, I've got one rule. I said, they just come through the front door and have to shake my hand and look me in the eyes. And
But that
that's
could
the
be
only
that,
rule I
I
have.
mean, come on, man. It's like you're like a Nordic from Minnesota. I mean, I can be intimidating enough. I get it. I understand.
There is a
Good.
little Viking there, yeah. So it's
Hey, you have the name for it too.
yeah, that's St. Erik. Yep.
My last question I have for you, Erik, is why should someone want to do business with Erik Anderson and Northland Capital?
um, I think the number one with us is not just responsiveness, but we're there to invest in your company. Number one, when we lend money, but number two, it's the care factor, it's the EQ, it's the you just go out of our way. Again, we sell commodities, right? How do you differentiate yourself in our business when you're selling money? And for us, it's the culture of that first experience. We want to make it so that you want to do another one with us. And we've proven that out over time. Number three, it's relationships. So it's probably the core of our chorus of values, right? We value relationships above all else, and we stand behind the relationship. We stand by what we say. Sometimes it'll be to our detriment and things we don't want to do, but the reality is we're going to follow through. So that's, yeah, talk about places that really ring true to why you work at places, and that's probably number one. So
Well, that's evident why we don't see a lot of turnover with people when they're there, for sure. So
yeah, we'd love to hire more. So by all means, if you want that kind of place,
we'll see what we can do to kind of chop this up a little bit and see if we can make it kind of a Northland infomercial. I think you've done a good job selling that. So kudos to you, man. Well, awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Hopefully our paths cross sometime in the near future, Erik. But it's been a pleasure getting to know a little bit more about your story, digging into Northland. It's always fun with an organization perspective. So,
well,
thank you.
Certainly appreciate you having me on. And it's just really enjoyed watching these over, obviously the time that you've done them. It's just, again, people that you get to know within the industry and even see at conferences are like, I wonder, what their story is. And this has been a very cool thing. So appreciate you having me on and also highlighting Northland as you have. So
awesome. Well, thank you again, and we'll be talking soon. Thanks, Erik.
All right. See you soon, Jesse.
Thanks.